Government is necessary for our survival. We need government in order to survive. The Founding Fathers created a special place for government. It is called the Constitution. Anytime the government stays within the limitations of the Constitution, it is a good government. Anytime the government is outside the Constitution, it is a bad government, and it is time for us to stomp it out. Yeah. The United States is the greatest economic country in the world, not because of government regulation, but in spite of it. NAFTA and GATT have about as much to do with free trade as the Patriot Act has to do with liberty. They let you know that you have permission by giving you a permit or a license. If you have a marriage license, what do you have permission to do now that you did not have permission to do before? Who gave you that permission? And where did they get the authority to give you that permission in the first place? Live with anyone you want. It is not the government's priority to set those standards. Osama bin Laden was originally labeled as the culprit who perpetrated this atrocity. How have we gone from Osama bin Laden to Saddam Hussein? Where is the logic that allowed us to switch from Afghanistan to Iraq? I find it very offensive when the government tells me what I can and cannot watch. Censor yourself. Imagine that. In World War II, when Americans truly believed in the issue, young men were lying about their age to get into the military early. Americans rallied behind that war. If you cannot get your citizens to rally behind your war, perhaps, just perhaps, it's an invalid war. We have military in 130 countries around the world. Instead of doing international offense, perhaps we can bring those soldiers home for Christmas and Thanksgiving and limit them to doing national defense. Congress doesn't seem to know anything about the Constitution, which is their job. How much less do they know about medicine? Anytime the government does anything, it drives up the cost and it doesn't work. Get the government out of medicine. First of all, the Founding Fathers loathed a democracy, calling it a tyranny of the majority. The United States is not a democracy. The United States is a constitutional republic based on private property and individual rights. In the 1860s, we passed the 13th Amendment, which presumably eliminated slavery, and it took well over 100 years to erase the racial hatred between the whites and the blacks. How do the American government think that they can go into another country and override thousands of years of culture? It is not our job to export anything except products and services. Our Founding Fathers were very wise. George Washington's farewell address, he encouraged us to establish economic ties with all countries and establish entangling alliances with none. All you need to know about economics is the law of supply and demand. When the supply of something goes down, the price of it will go up. And as the price of gasoline goes up, the consumer at the pump is going to provide the incentive for finding alternative sources. If we continue paying 75 cents a gallon, there's no need for alternative fuel supplies. If we get the government out of regulating medicine, the economy, and everything else, then the free market will find its own course. Again, the free market is probably the best way to handle any problem. Government has power, and when you allow the government power to influence a situation, there's going to be corruption. If we have scientists who are out there doing studies on global warming and we get that information to the general public, once again, the free market will allow us to control the situation. Nobody wants to live in a place where the ice caps are melting and, San Francisco is flooding. And I think that if we get that information to the people and offer logical, reasonable alternatives, people will follow their survival and they will do the right thing. The Libertarian Party would, first of all, eliminate the IRS, giving everybody in the United States a 35% pay increase immediately instead of a $300 rebate of your own money. The economy would skyrocket with everybody having all that loose cash in their pockets. The other thing that we have to do is eliminate the Federal Reserve. We established the Federal Reserve in 1913. They have been printing fiat paper money ever since, making your money worthless. We got to get back to a commodity-based currency so that we can essentially have a stable economy. Bring our troops home so they can be home for the holidays, and we don't have to have nearly as many USO shows. The Constitution establishes the principles for peace and tranquility. Every time we abide by the Constitution, we get peace and tranquility. Violating the supreme law of the land gets the opposite. It destroys our economy, gets us entangled into foreign wars. It is principles set down for us by our founding fathers. We are not satisfied with the status quo, voting for the lesser of two evils and your candidate wins and you still get evil.